What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to United View. Welcome to the Morning View. Me and Owen taking you through your latest Man United news on this fine Tuesday morning. International break over. Any more games left? I think that's it now, isn't it?
I don't know. I've not been paying any attention. I've been
paying
zero attention. Zero attention. I know.
I'm going to say it's over.
Was it Ireland played last night or something like that? Yeah. No attention to it. And again, very glad that we're on the road to it being done. The news is not quite newsing, to be honest, this morning. A bit dry, but we're going to do our best, Fleck.
Yes, we are. We are going to do our best because that's what we have to do. We got to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about Rashford's contract. The Athletic went quite big on that, talking about, it's something that they're working on. It's something that they want to see. It's something that people are quite relaxed on, but obviously there's a lot going on in the background. De Gea, new deal as well, a multi-club network set up if the Qataris were to take over Manchester United, and United Player of the Month as well, which is between Fernandes, Martinez, and Rashford. So we're going to talk about that as well. Let's get straight into it. Top of the show, smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Big up to Kieran as well, latest member of the UV Members Club. I remember we've got a UV Members live coming up with you guys during this week as well. So look out for that. So Kieran will be there as our latest member as well. Marcus Rashford. I mean, yes, it has been kind of slow with news, but that one thing that definitely has been discussed and quite strong by the Athletic is Rashford's new contract.
Indeed, yes. This comes from The Athletic this morning, saying initial discussions between Manchester United and Marcus Rashford's representatives have already been held and more are planned, but there have been no major steps forward. Sources on both sides insist these are early days in the process. There is a mutual understanding. This will be the biggest and most important contract of Rashford's career. Therefore, it's going to take a bit of time. Sources with knowledge of Marcus Rashford's contract talks expect the pace to pick up within the next few months. Club sources are hopeful of reaching an understanding and believe there is already a lot of agreement on both sides at this early stage. Now, some might be worrying that there could be a potential holdup because of the sale of Manchester United, the potential sale factor. But the Athletic are also reporting that the potential sale of Manchester United by the Glazer family is not seen as a complicating factor in contract negotiations with Marcus Rashford, nor is the fact that United have several key contracts to renegotiate simultaneously. So basically, not a lot of new development or news. Talks are ongoing, but that shouldn't be cause for concern.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a while. There's a part that says about, there's an understanding that this is Rashford's biggest contract of his career. And, they've got to get it right. You have got things going on in the background of the club, which in there it does say that it's not going to be a problem and it's still, paramount. But you've got the Gea situation going on in the background as well, which we'll talk about later. And obviously, mainly the ownership, but that doesn't always change everything. Like look at Bruno Fernandes when he got his new deal before Erik ten Hag arrived. Man United will want to lock down Rashford. We know that. That's what they're working on doing. And it's no surprise to hear that both camps are comfortable with where they're at. Big deals like that, they do take a while. Although, like I said, young kid from Rivershaw, Manchester United through and through, come through the academy, local boy. He's our star. You would think, just sign on the dotted line. It'll be done easy. But same even with, Bukayo Saka. Same thing at Arsenal. Like he's going to go through his big deal at the moment. Obviously a lot younger than Rashford. But the mega deals take time. You have to go through everything with a fine tooth comb. Once Rashford signs that, which I think he will. But once he signs that, it's a big commitment. Things happen in football and there's clauses in all contracts that, if X or Y happens, then you can get out, release clauses, or you have to protect yourself. Just because it's your boyhood club, it don't mean you just blindly sign on the dotted line. And vice versa. Man United have to protect themselves as well. It's the side that people don't really probably like talking about, when it comes to contracts and stuff, because everybody wants it to be the rosy thing. You love the club loves you, the fans love you, you love the fans, sign here, 5-year deal. You're on mega money. You're laughing. Here's your bonuses, but it doesn't work like that. You have to think worst case scenario in these sort of situations when you sign these big deals, So I'm confident, though. I'm confident. I think it's so crazy how March 22, the conversation
I
regarding
know,
Marcus
yeah, a
and
year
how much
ago.
it's changed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane. Insane.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think the difference between then and now is huge. And then I know some people might be worried when they hear news stories where it's basically, there's no real developments or talks are still going, but they're no further forward or anything like that. That would be a cause for concern. But we have also been saying in one breath that we want to, focus on the now, get to the end of the season, and again, just kind of hopefully get a new contract based upon success, based on more trophies and a top 4 finish, right? So that's kind of the hope. And I'm not worried. I don't. There's nothing in my mind goes, I tell you what, he's going to leave. He's going to leave. He's not going to agree a new contract or anything like that. So it's one of those stories, isn't it? When it comes out that some of the language makes you maybe almost like it tries to generate a reaction. You know what I mean? But it's not really. It's not. Basically, it's just as it was. Basically.
Yeah. Do you? And this is to open up the conversation wider than obviously just us two, which it always should be. Is there anyone in the chat that has reservations about this? Me and Owen don't. We think, obviously sign him. He's earned his contract. But is there anyone in the chat who sees it as actually maybe Rashi hasn't earned that contract and he's had this good season, but we're still waiting to see more? I just want to get a feel for everyone else because we're unanimous here. We're like, listen, absolutely sign him up. He's one of us. He's come through the ranks. This season's been unbelievable. And there can only be more. Now he's finding himself. But has anyone else? No, I think we're getting can't argue with a new contract. He has to get it. Sign Marcus, says Mark Khan. Lil Yo-Yo, 0 reservations. Keegan, I says good morning, gang. Mackie says sign him, but don't think he's worth 300 per week till 220 max. Any on that? What's he on now?
What do you think? What do you think he'll get?
I think he will get about 300.
What do you think he'll get, and what do you think he's probably or his representatives are asking for? That's probably the fairer discussion point.
I think who's the highest paid player at the club? Casemiro, or still De Gea, but that's not going to be.
I think it's De Gea and Casemiro, isn't it? I think they're basically roughly on the same.
So De Gea is going to come down, isn't he? On the new deal he's going to get. Let's say, yeah. Rashford, I think, would ask to be the highest paid earner at the club. If Casemiro's on 300k, let's break it down like you are the representatives of Rashford, yeah? He's your client. Let's just do pure business, yeah? Forget football and fandom and you earn this and you earn that in terms of you have to earn the contract. Let's talk about the position Marcus Rashford is in right now as one of the hottest players in the world, been our linchpin, having a season of his life and bounce back and actually is carrying us, really. I mean, Bruno's the second highest scorer with 5 goals, I think. He's literally carrying us, yeah? Offensively. If I'm his representatives, might sound greedy, but again, you don't have the club's best interests at heart. You have your client or your brother or your player. Casemiro's on 300. I need minimum that. That is. I will probably ask for 310, 320, and then I'll come down maybe a little bit to 300. But it's got to be that. I don't agree with that. But if I'm looking after my client, I'm going and knocking on the door. I'm saying that's what it's got to be. 350 minimum.
Do you think you wait until maybe they make some other signings in the summer and see what they come in on? Because if you're talking about this big striker, if you're talking about Victor Osimhen, if you're talking about Harry Kane, and we're looking to sign a world-class elite level striker, whoever that may be.
What would Harry Kane be on if he come Man United?
That's a good question. And I tell you what, we spoke about Harry Kane last night, and I'm not shocked because again, I understand the reaction to him at the moment, a potential transfer of him to Manchester United.
Nobody wants him from our community.
I don't understand. And again, I'm not advocating for it has to be Harry Kane. He's my number one choice because I've said Victor Osimhen would probably be my number one because longevity and his form. But at the same time, I see it from other fans too. It's like there's this weird narrative Harry Kane's not good and he scored all these goals by fluke. Again, you have to look at what he's achieving without winning trophies at Spurs because he's at Spurs. That's why he hasn't won any trophies. But he's England's record goal scorer. He's going to be the record goal scorer in the Premier League. That's unbelievable. And I said last night I could see him playing at the top level for 5 more years. And maybe went, that's a bit long. And you think, well, he's 30 this summer. He's 30 in July, right? And his game is not based on pace. His game's not based on being on the shoulder or anything like that. His game's on dropping deep. His game's on receiving the ball in deeper positions and finding the right spaces. Why couldn't he play at the top level for 5 more years? We gave Casemiro a 4-year contract plus an extra option. He's 31. So if Harry Kane did sign for us in the summer, I don't see why United wouldn't give him like a 4-year deal or something like that, because he'd still be able to do it at the top level. And then the argument was last night, but yeah, look at all those goals. Who were they for? And you go, well, Spurs. And you go, yeah, imagine he was actually at a good team during this period of time. How many more goals would he have got? You know, and how many more trophies would he have won? If he was at, if he was at City, Liverpool, United,
same with Alan Shearer.
It doesn't make Alan Shearer a bad player. Everyone openly say he's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but because he didn't win that much. I mean, yes, he won a Premier League when he was at Blackburn, but my point being is that, again, Harry Kane would not be my total top option, but I think just the narrative surrounding that is just a bit like he's awful.
Yeah, like he's a dead player. All the other narrative that, again, he always gets injured, and then you look at the amount of games he's played. Yeah, that little ankle thing happens once a year, but he still plays over bloody 35 games, 40 games in all comps pretty much every year. 35 games, and it's like, I just think if you look at the impact that Casemiro's just had or is having, and he's 30, and I know he's a serial winner, but I'm talking about just the quality of player and what they can do. Casemiro's coming from Real Madrid. If Harry Kane played for Real Madrid for the last 5 years, he'd have 5 Champions Leagues as well.
Well, and also as well, I compared him to Lewandowski last night, which apparently is a no-no too. And I said, well, Lewandowski had 1 year left on his contract when he went to Barcelona in the summer. He's 34, right? He went for 45 million. 45 million pounds with a year left on his contract. If you do the maths, that would imply that Harry Kane at 30 would probably be about 100 with a year left. I mean, I'm not comfortable with the price anyway. But at the same time, like they'll go, yeah, but Lewandowski's won stuff. Yeah, because he was playing for Bayern Munich. Of course he was winning stuff.
Kane, look, there's this thing that, like, if Kane played for them teams, like, he wouldn't do what they're doing. Like, if Kane played for Real Madrid, he would have the same amount. He'd probably have more goals than Benzema, but all the same. You know what I mean? Like, just the way that he is.
He'd have at least the same amount he has now. Certainly at least same, maybe probably more. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Right? Benzema's more clutch, 100%. Like, I rate Benzema high. I'm not saying like, oh, Harry Kane's better than Benzema. Obviously, Benzema's older than him, done it longer than him, been at the highest level. And if Kane played for Bayern Munich in that side instead of Lewandowski, he'd score loads of goals. Like, I just think, like you said, there's this thing that people think Kane's like not good. But if we can have Casemiro in the heart of midfield, and you've given him a 3-4 year deal, it might have been longer than that. Didn't he get? How long did Casemiro get? 4 years.
4 plus 1.
4 plus 1, bloody, essentially a 5-year deal you've given him.
Yeah,
and I know because you're saying he's a serial winner, but then why can't Harry Kane, who's actually still proving that he's doing it? It's not like he's done now. Like he can't do anything.
And again, people point to as well. They go, "Yeah, missed a penalty in the World Cup." That is not a defining. That does not mean he's terrible.
Rashford missed in the Euros.
Rashford missed a penalty. Some of the greatest players missed penalties in the World Cup. Roberto Baggio, bang, over the bar. World Cup, like it happens. Yeah, like the players miss penalties. It doesn't make him a bad player. Again, I have to stress, because I think sometimes social media will only hear what they want to hear. He would not be my ideal choice. But as we've said, if Manchester United signed Harry Kane, I would not sit here and be like, "Oh, it's terrible. I can't believe Man United have done it." I'd be like, "Wow, we might have to have a discussion in a couple of years." But this idea that he's going to come to United and just fall off a cliff immediately, I just don't. I don't see that.
Look, any transfer is a risk. Anything can happen. But I think it's an educated guess to assume that he would be fine at Man United. Because goals are at a premium, man. The hardest thing to guarantee in your squad is goals. And I don't know. I just don't get it. Actually, we were talking about Rashford. It just led us to Kane.
I know. It was because last night I brought it up, and as is the case when you bring up Kane, you do get quite a bit of pushback. But I can understand why. I can understand the concerns. Like Mina was saying last night, she was like, "Well, 100 million for buying out a 1 year contract. It's a lot," and that is I think a perfect.
Yeah, you'd want to get him for like 80, 70,
yeah, it's a rational it's a rational thing to be concerned about. You don't want to really get in a negotiation with Daniel Levy because, again, how is that going to end up? We know how that's going to end up. That's going to drag on and on. But again, I will say that just he's not bad. he's not.
But then what's
bad.
Victor Osimhen going to cost? Young kid,
Well,
he's
this
going
is
to cost
my
150 million, and you don't even know if he's going to be good past this. More,
even more,
especially if they go to the final and win it and whatever. Like, you know, I know that's more attractive because he's younger, fast, everything. But then if you look at the pressure that's going to come with let's say more than 160, 70 million outlay for a player that's never played in the Premier League, who is amazing, by the way, who looks the part. But then you've got whatever reservations you've got about Kane, 30, don't know how long, ankles. You can equally put something on the other side for Osimhen, or world record fee for Man United by far. Almost have to probably nearly double our world record fee if it's what you're saying, over 150 million. Because what is it, 90 million we've paid? So for Pogba, let's say let's say you have to pay close to 170, 180 million for
the records. Yeah, the records Neymar, isn't it? Still, that's the record. And that's not going to be broken, I don't think.
No, that won't be broken. I mean, what we've paid.
But what we've paid, yes, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was thinking about this too because I was thinking about it quite a bit last night. Actually, are we saying then? So if we waited a year, right? Harry Kane becomes a free agent at the end of next season, and we take him on a 30 at the time 30, but going into 31-year-old Harry Kane free transfer. I think everyone would take that, right? Everyone would take Harry Kane on free transfer. So it's not an issue of quality; it's an issue of the money. Then I would love to. Is that the sticking point for a lot of people?
Yeah, I do think a lot of people are going 100 million for him, and he's 30 is outrageous, and he's in his last.
So they haven't got an issue of having him.
Some people do, because some people's comments are his ankles won't hold up, or he's a bit selfish, or he hasn't played at the highest level and has bottled it in big games, or whatever. So some people, I can't speak for everyone, but my general consensus of when I see the comments and get a feel for it is that some people are like, it's way too much for a player on 1 year left. We're getting our pants pulled down, and it's Daniel Levy, etc. And the other half, or not half, but whatever percentage it is, are like, nah, he's just not the guy anyway. He just isn't. Right. That's the bit I disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the 100 million. That's a lot. But again, I kind of do look at the Lewandowski one and I say, well, they paid like 50 for a guy who's 34, had a year left on his contract. But on a free, of course you take him on a free.
Yeah, of course. But I don't think they can let it get
even then you'd say, like, you've signed a 31-year-old on a free. Harry Kane, like, there's still a lot of juice left in that.
Yeah. But they won't look. Daniel Levy's about money. He can't afford to let Harry Kane go for free.
I think he's right.
I know some people said that, but he's all about money, man. Money.
You think so? But I think he's so much focused about money that he will try until it's not possible. You know, I think I wouldn't even be shocked if in the summer he goes, look, we've got Nagelsmann or we got Poch back, give it another year.
Go again.
Try again. Try one last year, see if we can win something, and then they don't. And then it's like, wow, it's over, you know, now. And then it's a free transfer. I could see something like that.
But versus 90 million on the table from United, secure that for the new manager. They're going to have to, I don't know. It's true. Because again, in Daniel Levy world, that's how he works. I just feel like, only because I was talking about it yesterday, probably on DR, and I was like, they just have to they have to sit down at the table and do a whole new strategy. That means moving beyond Kane, new manager, they need to just get everything new. Like, it's come to an end. Just let it all go.
I don't disagree with, like, it's almost like the Jack Grealish thing with Aston Villa, though, isn't it, with Harry Kane? Because let's be honest, whilst a guy who is coming into becoming 30 with 1 year left on his contract is not worth 100 million, but to Spurs, he is worth to them more than that. Because if they don't have Harry Kane, they ain't nowhere near Europe. And particularly nowhere near winning anything, and that can cost them over £100 million. So in their minds, they're like, well, that's what it would cost us if we got rid of him.
Exactly. Back to Rashford.
Yeah.
Back to Rashford. We started off basically saying how much would he cost, and then what should he get, sort of salary. And then obviously it got to, what would Harry Kane get a week if he got here? And then we went down that rabbit hole. But back to Rashford, I think my original question was, has anyone got any reservations about him getting a new deal? And it seemed,
no.
I know we didn't do a poll, but it was clear that people didn't.
Yeah.
It's clear. But yeah, I mean, look, the only thing that you can look at with Rashi is obviously he's playing this season. He's playing like he's never played before.
Yeah.
So that is like, so one of two things is going to happen, and this is not me trying to throw it out there of a negative. This is me just saying one of two things is going to happen. Well, one of three things, I suppose. He could just flop from here and be awful. Like, you just don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's just one option. Two, this is the new Marcus Rashford, world-class level, where if he has a couple more seasons like this, you're going to say he's world-class. Because I think right now, I wouldn't say he's world-class. I'd say that he's performing at a world-class level this season. But the biggest problem with Rashi, what we haven't seen is we've seen dips. Like we have at pretty much any player at Man United over the last 10 years, because it's been horrible. But with this level of consistency that Erik ten Hag's bringing, you'd like to think that Rashi will stay at this level. Obviously, this is an extremely high level. If he was to stay at this kind of level, scoring wise, and then starts doing this in the Champions League next year instead of Europa, and keeps doing this, he'd be in the top company with top players as world class. Yeah. But the sample size isn't big enough yet. We don't know. No. And the third thing that can happen is that he kind of flattens out a little bit, where it's a little bit in the middle, which is fine, which is that he can contribute, he can still be a good player, but he's not doing this. Like, this here is stupid numbers for Rashford.
It's not sustainable, really, is it?
Yeah,
when you think about it, because
but the top man do that though.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Sustainable for Haaland and Mbappe.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. But when it's like for Rashford, I mean, it's got to the point now when he doesn't score or even get an assist, we go, Rashford looks a bit tired.
Exactly.
You know? And to your point, is that sustainable? Look, we've seen plenty of good players that when they do sign a contract, even if they don't mean to, they do drop off a little bit. Why? I don't even know if it's like, or it's like a financial thing. I mean, even with like Salah, by his high standards, right? He got the contract, and even the Liverpool fans will go, oh, is he as good? And then you actually look at his numbers this season, they're not bad.
Yeah,
they're still very good. But it does happen to some players. Would I expect that with Rashford? I don't know, because like you said, it feels a bit like a bit of a new Rashford, doesn't it? So you don't really know what to expect. You hope not.
Yeah.
But it's not just
that's
that one
the
season,
thing.
is it?
It was like a new. We haven't seen this before from him,
no,
so we don't know. The last time we saw something that resembled this, which wasn't as good, I always get confused. Everyone in the chat will put it. What season was it again with Ollie? Was it 1920? Was it the COVID one, or was it the one just before that? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was what's the one where he got his best? Him and Martial, I think, at the same time did their best. I think it was when the season that Lukaku went and Alexis went, and we were like, didn't replace them, and them two stepped up. I can't remember what exactly. Someone put it in the chat. I think it could have been 1921. It was the COVID year. There you go. Look, 1920. People are saying. It was the COVID year, COVID season. Yeah, I remember when 1920. So I remember that's the last time, in my opinion, Rashi had a strong season. And then before that, obviously his breakthrough season, he took us by storm, and it was a bit of a whirlwind, but he wasn't established. Since he's been established, that 1920 season, I think, has been his best season. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the stats to hand, but I know that he had one standout season. And all the other seasons, again, I'm not singling him just out, but just because we're talking about him, he's going to get a new deal. All the other seasons have been indifferent. They really have, but he's gone from, is he a striker? Is he a left winger? Is he a right winger? Does he need to play up front in a 2? What's his best position? He's gone from left to up front with loads of different managers. And I'm not just blaming him. I'm just calling it as it is. So I think this is testament to Ten Hag, because I don't think there's any coincidence that we get a manager like him and he starts getting the best out of a player like Rashford. So I would like to think now, I could be prematurely saying this, but I would like to think now that there's now a minimum bar that Rashford won't go below from here on out. Because he's what? He's about, what is he, 26, 25?
A Rashford, and I agree, as long as, certain circumstances, we have seen him not dip recently. Well, we've seen him drop off somewhat for this season for him, just because you can just tell he looks a bit leggy. But even then, he's still been scoring goals and still been, doing his thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a long way. You can't definitely say, oh no, this Rashford's world class now. That's it. We found him. At least that's sorted. We don't know. So, but in terms of securing him, versus letting him go, for me, absolutely deserves a new deal.
No, yeah,
Absolutely
absolutely.
have to keep him. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Another player getting a new deal is David De Gea. That is also in the background. We'll talk quickly about that.
Yes.
It's again kind of in the background. We know that he wants to stay. A lot of people been talking recently about how maybe has Ten Hag changed his mind? Is he looking elsewhere? What's going on? Why is this taking so long? If it's only just to give him a new deal just to stay, you would think that it might have been done by now. We might have got more on it. What have we got?
So basically, not too much, but they're suggesting from the Athletic, the same piece talking about the contract negotiations at the moment with United, saying that the discussions with David De Gea are the most immediate concern, maybe suggesting they want to get those wrapped up before they do Marcus Rashford, I would suppose, because actually De Gea's contract does actually expire at the end of the season. Legitimately, they haven't triggered that extension because they don't want to, because it's so much money and they want to sort of figure out what the wages are going to be. So that's the more immediate concern. As is always the case with David De Gea, right? He's a complete lightning rod for opinion between Manchester United fans. I saw the full view extra the other day with yourself, Cam, Marcel, DJ and Steph in the studio. And to be honest, that was the perfect, I think, group of people for that one, particularly with Cam and Marcel there to be very much, But what I will say is with Cam stuff, because I've seen Cam say it before, sometimes I just feel like for someone that's so tactical, he'll say like he's not a coward, but he'll say like he's got no bravery.
He says we're playing with 10 men.
Yeah, he's playing with 10 men in possession. Yeah. And I just feel like I've said this before, and it's a redundant argument, I know, but David De Gea, and he has done this in like recent games as well. I think back to like the Fulham game. Had David De Gea not been in goal, we would have been 3 or 4-0 down by the time they got 2 people sent off. Like, it would have been over. Like it would have been over.
And that wasn't to do with distribution.
No, it's just that's making good saves. And I know then like the chicken and the egg argument gets into it when they say, but if he's got a good distribution, then maybe we score more goals earlier on. We're playing better by that point, and it all ties back to him. I've just said, be careful what you wish for, I think, because so many times, and I can speak for myself personally, so many times when I've started to think, maybe, we need to look at another goalkeeper, he then makes a save, which I go, that's an unbelievable save. Like, I just can't, and I think what you've said before is quite true too, where you say, look, keep De Gea on, bring another goalkeeper in, see what happens, and maybe our eyes will be opened and we'll say, oh man.
I've got no, again, I've said it many times here. You guys know how I feel. I've got no qualms if Erik Ten Hag wants to phase De Gea out or go in a different direction. I completely agree with the fact that distribution-wise, he makes me nervous. When we're getting pressed and that ball comes back to him, he does get nervous. The chances are you're going to kick it out of play or kick it to an opposition player. That has been a common theme.
A couple of times recently as well.
Oh, to the point where 100%. I was sitting there and I'm wincing. I'm like, oh, Josh, oh my God. He needs to clear it. Just clear it. 100%. I'm not going to sit here with blinkers on and say I don't see that. But also what I see is somebody who, again, because of where the team is exactly now, still needs to make big saves. And it's not like he's making big saves because he's just kicked the ball to someone, so he has to make a big save to rub out his mistake. I'm talking about we're still not controlling games. We still get counterattacked. Sometimes there's still big gaps in the midfield and someone's not defending properly. Look at the Leicester game. I think they go on the counterattack. Martinez gets dragged out. Iheanacho's in, and he sets Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes in one-on-one. It was De Gea's fault that happened, was it?
Exactly. There was
the one where Castagna gets down the side and crosses it, and then he has that header, Iheanacho, and he has to call it back. Nothing to do with De Gea. Nothing. Like he's just in goal, and during the generic play, through us being poor in that stage of the game, where De Gea hasn't even touched the ball in 5 minutes, we get countered, and you need a keeper there to make saves. And it's same against Fulham. We had a few other players starting, but De Gea wasn't. He might have been. Not pinging balls left, right, and centre. But I wouldn't say the reason why Man United's performance was so poor against Fulham was because of that. There was no Casemiro in midfield. Paulinho was running riot. Flipping, the fullbacks were bombing on in Robinson and Tete. They were pinning us back. You had Andreas Pereira was getting on the ball. Mitrovic was bullying Maguire and getting yellow. It wasn't De Gea.
No, and also, again, it's going to be really interesting to see that balance, because when we eventually do get a new goalkeeper in, and let's say they're really proficient with their feet and they're great at passing and spraying it around, but if there are those shots and those moments where we do concede a goal, which you go, De Gea would have saved that, it's going to be interesting to see what that reaction is.
And that will happen for ages, because he's just a legend,
are they going to keep that same kind of energy whereby it's like passing's great? It's like the opposite to De Gea, isn't it? Yeah. Passing's great, but you're still a goalkeeper at the end of the day. It's going to be interesting. That's all I'll say. By the way, I don't know if you've seen VK.
Yes, I was just about to. Yeah, it's just about to. VK's gifting 20 memberships, and then a little bit later on, he's gifted another 10, 30 memberships gifted by VK. Wow. Actually, I can see. Big up to Samuel, Raj, Young Drax, Salco, Owen Style Advisor. Mateen Harris.
Seems to be out of business.
He seems to be out of business. Giorgio, Liam, Dreamster 3000, SX Kid, Conita, Rashid, John, Janine, Mohammed, Natalie, Craig, Nina, Devon, Splashnet, Suleiman, and the Wizard was already there. Wow, insane amount. Oh, I don't even know if that's everyone. The oh no, that's not. Yeah, that is, I think, all of the. Oh no, Cabs, Princess Shmoney, OHB, Hassan, Just Kevin. No, he's already a member. Big up to you. Ahmed, Trivash, and Makawuza, and Jay Warnock. Wow, insane. VK just going crazy, doing VK things, man. Handing out 30. I repeat, 30 Man United memberships. So yeah, that is insane.
Man United memberships.
Sorry,
United View memberships.
United View, better than United memberships.
You're just a Glazer boy. I said, see you later, boy.
Yeah. United View memberships, unbelievable. That is mad. Just like that, 30 so early in the morning as well. So big up to you. To finish off on the hair thing, let's talk about just the contract though.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're fine with him getting less money, reduced terms.
Mm-hmm. Well, are we?
Well, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it because a lot of people don't. Contract at all.
Yeah. Oh, well, on that, and I mean that's kind of what we were just talking about in terms of what he does good versus what he does bad. Obviously, some people don't want him to get a new deal. Do you guys want him to get a new deal on reduced terms? Let's talk about it in the chat. I know this is a thing that never goes away, but because we're talking about the deal right now, I just think Ten Hag has a plan, and whatever the plan is, I trust it. I don't think Ten Hag would keep David De Gea around just for sentiment. If he genuinely believes, we'll do a poll. If he genuinely believes, should David De Gea get a new deal
on reduced terms?
On reduced terms. If Ten Hag genuinely believes David De Gea is not good enough, he wouldn't just keep him around because he's a legend. He did it. No. If he could deal with Ronaldo like that, anyone can get it. Anyone. Ronaldo's one of the GOATs of the game ever. So if he comes in and didn't fancy him, you won't play. You won't play. He's not just going to play you because you've been here a long time and what you've done. Like he said with the Ronaldo situation, if what you can do now. And if he thinks he's surplus, he ain't staying here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean? Any decision that Ten Hag makes, I will fully back and I will agree with him because he knows his system and the style he wants to play better than us, better than us layman fans, right? So any decision that he makes, I would agree. I would even suggest that, and this isn't just a Man United specific thing. You do see this at other clubs sometimes when a goalkeeper's been in the position for a while and then they bring a new keeper in. Sometimes that new keeper, it can take them a while just to adapt and just to handle the weight of the pressure, the expectation, particularly a Manchester United goalkeeper. And it might be a point whereby De Gea stays, a new keeper comes in, they try the new keeper and they go, okay, for a little bit, maybe we take him out just as he sort of settles and we put De Gea back in. It might be a situation like that where actually for the first season, they're quite close. And then eventually, you move on and really prioritize this new keeper. Or at the same time, you might just think, look, we're putting all of our eggs in the basket of getting a striker in the summer. So De Gea, you stay for another season, and we figure that out.
Which again, I wouldn't rule that out. I really wouldn't rule that out. I think if David De Gea had to stay again, this is going to be. I mean, look. To be fair, in our community, it isn't really that because 86% of you guys want David De Gea to get a new deal on reduced terms. So I know our the same way how most of our community don't want Harry Kane. On the flip side, whenever we do sort of De Gea polls or chats, I think most of the United View community is in support of De Gea. 85% in today's chat, and we've got how many people watching? How many people got watching? 750. 750. So yeah, I think most people want De Gea to stay, but if Eric Ten Hag, like I said, thinks he's not good enough, he won't be here. And I think he just has a plan. And I wouldn't rule out that bit. That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't rule out him staying a whole another year in net. I don't see that. I know some people are like, oh no, another year of We're going to be in the Champions League then as well. We might play teams like Real Madrid and Bayern and all the top teams, and we're going to have De Gea doing that. Oh my God. But I don't think if, like you said, if it means that we can go and get another central midfielder of high quality, super high quality, one to start. If we can go and get, obviously, the striker, number one priority to start, then start getting some more stocking fillers. I don't think keeper's going to be on the list higher than that.
Yeah, well, also as well, it depends how long the contract is. I mean, if he signs a 1-year contract, we know really what the plans are. If he signs a 2 or 3 one, we go, well, he's going to be around for a while then, isn't he? So that's going to be really fascinating too. It's not only the wage, but also the length of the deal as well.
Yeah, exactly. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Moving on. I know you spoke about it a little bit yesterday. It was just interesting. I didn't really get to have my say on it. Just really quickly, the multi-club network that basically, Qatar would look to make happen should they be successful in attaining Man United.
Yeah, so essentially I won't go through everything again, but it was a report from Duncan Castles who was essentially saying that Qatar would plan to mold Man United, Paris Saint-Germain and Sporting Braga into this huge multi-club network. They would see, or QSI sees Braga as like the development club, and then they would buy players from around Europe and South America, and they would go to Braga, play a high-level football. Braga are a big club in Portugal, and then they would go out to Manchester United and PSG. Kind of what we were talking about last night, though, Flex. The issue is that I have with this, not against the idea in question, because you go, oh my goodness me, being part of that, you'd be laughing. But at a time which people are actively looking at, what's the difference between you and PSG in terms of your ownership? What's the difference? Is it QSI or is it QA, whatever it was? And how far away is Sheikh Jassim and the 9-2 Foundation from QSI that have PSG? And then at the same time, you go, we're going to have a sporting network that involves all three. They go, wait a minute, that's then you're all together. Are
Listen,
you
it's loophole. Listen, I'm not going to dress it up. In my opinion, they make ways around these things. I'll admit, that's my opinion. I think that, they did it with the Saudis when they took over at Newcastle. They basically signed a piece of paper to say, no, we're not.
We're definitely not going to do that.
And then the Premier League go, right, we've passed the checks, i.e. you're going to bring loads of money into the league. It's better for us. And they got what they wanted. And I think if you're looking at both sides of this coin, again, some people don't care about this side because they just keep it strictly football and just want, a bottomless pit of money for the club and for people to do what they want to do with the club and make it the best it can be. New stadium, new training ground, infrastructure, money for players, etc., right? But the reality is, I think you'd be naive to think that, when they say, oh, Qatar's not part of this, or I don't know. I think you'd be naive to think there isn't something going on in the background that can circumnavigate things like that. And I saw some reports yesterday saying that, I think it was Rob Dawson, some at Old Trafford are worried about the structure, that it could change. Fear, and when you see that, look, and then you get obviously people who are pro Qatar owners are like, oh, this is the problem. They don't want the things to change. The old guard don't want to change anything, which kind of goes into more the Jim Ratcliffe side of things, of his tone of manifesto. Put the Manchester back into United, or whatever the exact phrase was. It was very British. It was very keeping the core ethical, core values of the football club. around the area. And I just think football evolves, and life evolves. And if you don't adapt, you die. Now that's not me saying no. Man United should and must, to be, a better football club, have this multi-club approach. I don't necessarily agree with that. But if the Qataris were to come, I don't know if it's fair to say that they would change the whole culture of the football club. I mean, the main culture of Man United is obviously youngsters with the Busby Babes, like making sure youngsters come through, and winning. Winning. That's the culture that we've all forgotten. That's the main ethos that we're like, where's that? We don't win anymore. We don't compete for the big trophies anymore. So if they return Man United back to that's one box ticked. Like we said, kids coming through the academy, and making it through to the first team. That is part of our values. Playing attractive football and, scoring goals and, putting it on opposition at Old Trafford. That's part of our culture as well. Then you can get things that are outside of the football club, like, things in the community, and looking after the community and what the football club gives back. But I don't know. I just think if Man United were to go, I think with PSG, that's when it becomes a little bit, so it is a bit one in the same then, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I think they'll find it difficult to shake that off.
Yeah, I think that would be the challenge. And again, I'd be stunned if they put that kind of sporting network on paper, especially already, especially while we're in this process where they're trying to ensure that, again, there is distance and they are owned by different people. But then I suppose, look, at the same time, you would say, like with the Red Bull clubs, clearly they're in the same network because they both had Red Bull in their name. And clearly there's a network between them because players that are at Salzburg end up at Leipzig, and same with managers and coaches and all that kind of stuff. And they're seemingly owned by two separate, companies and or organizations. So why couldn't it be done? I like you, when I saw the thing of certain people fear about the structure of the club, I thought, well, they wouldn't have that fear if they were confident that they were the best at what they do and they couldn't afford to be sort of gotten rid of, essentially. If you knew you were the best, I'm the best sporting executive out there, or in my field, I'm one of the best, they can't afford to get rid of me, then you wouldn't have those kind of fears. I think the people that will be fearing for their jobs are the ones that are going, I'm replaceable, and I could actually be replaceable by someone better. That's where the real fear probably comes from. And let's be honest, change is needed in a lot of the different aspects of Manchester United in the sporting structure. Only in the last year or so have we started to get some semblance of, what kind of sporting structures there are like at other clubs, but it's also a little bit too late as well. So massive overhauls needed in everything at Manchester United, really, apart from the manager. That's like the one constant that we've got right. And I know Kenny said last night, yeah, but those people put in place Eric Ten Hag. A broken clock can be right twice a day. That's kind of how I kind of feel about it. They got one right in the last 10 years.
Yeah, good, well done, sort of thing. Yeah, about time, sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. They don't get off the hook. You've been part of years and years of failings. You don't get off the hook that quick. But you could look at that with the Cronkies at Arsenal. If they win the league this year, they were part of bringing Mikel Arteta to Arsenal. They were part of getting Edu in, agreeing the strategy, letting them work, and ultimately bringing them success if they win the Premier League for the first time in 20 odd years.
Well, and also, the Premier League's more important than the Champions League, according to Julian. That's the important thing.
Yeah, to them, because they've never won it and they need that Premier. I think out of desperation of how much they really want that Premier League, he's just gone to
It's most important. Everyone in Europe wants it, Fleck. Even if you're playing in La Liga.
100% just want to be in the Premier League and win that.
Just want to win the Premier League, yeah.
There are some super chats here. Owen, what's Kieran Woods? Yep, so latest member. And Lil Yo-Yo says, Fleck Altani, you need VK in your consortium. And I'll take that. Aminor said, Owen, what's the latest with Mason Greenwood's contract? I'm sure he's got a contract till 2025. Yeah, that's just what it's always been. Mason Greenwood has a contract till 2025. Keegan says, I can't listen to Cam and Marcel on David De Gea. He has 11 clean sheets this season and makes saves no other goalkeeper will. Make it make sense. David De Gea, GOAT. They say, but they also say another thing that winds me up when Cam and Marcel discuss De Gea, because I agree with a lot of the parts, but then they say things like he doesn't make saves that other. He's saying any keeper can make them saves.
Yeah, I saw
That's the
Marcel
thing.
say that.
And I don't agree with
I saw
that.
him say,
It's like
"Oh,
anyone can do this."
He
No,
said
they
he's not.
can't.
He said he's not a good shot stopper, Fleck. He's not that good of a shot stopper. And I go,
Yeah.
that's when again.
It
For
gets,
me, that's
you
when you
lose
lose
me.
me. You lose me at that point, because when you bring in the stats about passing and claiming crosses, I go, you know what? I see it. The stats are there. You've brought your workings. You've showed your workings. Fair enough. But then when you like, I always say when you talk about Harry Maguire, like keep it to sort of football terms, you know, because even when they go, nah, he's not even that good shot stopper, or he's not brave. He's not brave, or you know, I remember Marcel's one. He doesn't even talk on the pitch. How do you know that? How do you know that? He's not a leader. How do you know that? You know, but this is the same person again. Marcel, for me, lost his credibility talking about goalkeepers when he was saying Dubravka should be our number one. Martin Dubravka, who didn't even last a full season at Manchester United, by the way. Okay, that's what he was saying. So let's not even get into that.
Yeah,
Dubravka.
I think. Listen, Marcel, he has a lot of good opinions, you know, and he backs them up well. You know, he's really calm, you know, expressionate guy. But then when sometimes, and this ain't something I haven't said to Marcel. We talk about this all the time. He just loses me on certain bits. I think you lose a bit of the credit on the other stuff when you say some other outlandish stuff in wanting to prove the point so bad on the other thing. You'll be willing to say other stuff that just isn't there. You know what I mean?
And then an old man. How old is he? 31.
That's ridiculous. We got Van der Sar when he was an old man, and he was flipping amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. The only criticism we have, not criticism, the only downside of Van der Sar is that we didn't get him earlier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look what he achieved. He achieved, I think, more than Schmeichel in that time.
Do you remember with the Dubravka one as well? He played, I forget the game, it might have been against Burnley or something like that. And he did some poor kicks or whatever. And he was like, I think he's got a bit of a dead leg.
Yeah. He said, remember Marcel was at the ground, and I think we spoke to him or something. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. He went, he's got a bit of a sore leg.
Honestly. I know. PS says a tactical request episode for Cam. If we get potential understudy to De Gea, who would those goalkeepers be? I'll start with Verbruggen from Anderlecht. Okay, I'm sure we can get Cam doing something like that, because he just put it on. His video will be called "Anyone But De Gea." So, smash a like on the video. Lastly, player of the month. Player of the month: Bruno, Martinez, and Rashford. Who are you going with?
Well, who are you going with? Let me check the games we had.
I'm going with Bruno. I think after we had Betis.
We had West Ham. West Ham was on the first. We beat them 3-1 in the FA Cup. We had Liverpool. Less said about that, the better. Yeah. Then we had Real Betis 4-1. Then we had Southampton 0-0. Then we had Real Betis 1-0. Then we had Fulham 3-1. To be honest, throughout March, I look at all of those performances. We didn't play that great.
No, we didn't. It can only be Martinez or Bruno, but I'm just going to shade it to Bruno. A little bit of bias, because I just think there was calls for him to be stripped of the captaincy after that Liverpool game. All the hounds were out. He's rubbish. He's this disgrace. He shouldn't even. I'm not saying all of us. I'm saying just with what he had to deal with. Did he come back and light up and play? I mean, the next game, Betis at home, he played deep when we won 4-1. He played deeper in that game and actually had quite a good impact. I think Ten Hag said he was the best player on the pitch in that game. Scored a goal as well. Scored a header from the corner. In the Fulham game, wasn't having his best game, but the pressure moment of when that melee happened, he had to score the pen. So he scored another one. Then he scored another one as well. So he scored 2 in that game. Again, I'm making a bit of a stretch, because again, we didn't play well as a team in that game. But a couple of them games, we left the ground going, Martinez, man, flipping heck. Well, Martinez was the reason why we didn't probably lose against Southampton. He played amazingly well against Fulham as well.
Brilliant against Fulham.
Real
Betis away. He played alongside Maguire, and he was by far the better defender. Yeah, by a million miles.
So it could easily be Martinez, really. But I'm just going off the after. I'm just being a bit biased here. I'll admit that. Just after what Bruno was going through after the Liverpool saga, I think he settled down pretty well. So I'll go with Bruno. But Martinez, I've got no problems giving to him because he's been wicked. We should do another poll.
A three-person poll.
3-man
Rashford,
poll.
Bruno, or Martinez. I would probably go with Martinez. It is interesting when you do get those games up because March was definitely the month where we were tired, really tired, and
really
we were
struggled.
we still got results in that month, but we had some results of the Liverpool and Southampton one where it wasn't particularly great. And it's funny because February ends with the Carabao Cup final, euphoric, and that's of course just after beating Barcelona at Old Trafford. And then March, I think March was really that month, wasn't it? Where when people were talking about when is it going to start catching up to us? When is that fatigue going to really kick in? When are we going to start seeing the performance drop? And it was definitely March, 100%, because I look through all of those games and I can't think of a game. Yeah, looking at those ones where I go, we really dominated. We played particularly well.
We were poor.
Some of the
even the Betis one, the Betis one, we won at half time.
Yeah, half time we weren't that great. West Ham, even with the FA Cup, I remember they went 1-0 up, didn't they? Benrahma, and then we sort of got it back, and then towards
last
the end, ended up 3-1. You 3-1, and on the face of it, you go, that's fine.
Last minute Garnacho, mate, and then Fred just got the tap in.
Exactly. So, but at the same time, you would still look at that month and say, we got through it. And
that was the most important thing in the back end. After that Liverpool humiliation, it was important that we went through in the next round in the FA Cup and we went through in the next round in the Europa League, and we did both. And obviously the Premier League game, we didn't manage to bounce back properly because obviously the red card happened. But
that's what I was just going to say. I still do feel like that had Casemiro not got sent off so early against Southampton,
we would have settled down and won.
I still do think we would have won that game because we'd seen that pattern recently whereby first half we're rubbish and then we ended up like in all the way through March where you don't play particularly well but you get the result. So I would hope that would be the case. And then the thing is now I'm just looking forward to those future fixtures. Can't afford to play like that in some of those games.
No.
Newcastle Sunday.
I don't like that game at all, mate. I don't like it at all. So speaking to Cam yesterday, I was telling him I didn't like that game. He's like, really? Do you think that? I think they're shit. I think we'll be fine. Like they're not.
What, against Newcastle?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Away.
But you know what? Yeah, but you know what though? Football wise, they don't score a lot of goals. They're not blowing teams out of the water. We can't hype them up to be something they're not. However, I'm thinking more about my team, about dealing with the intensity and the atmosphere that they can generate. It isn't always about quality, like they're free flowing, they're scoring. Isak's just coming into it now and he's starting to score some goals. But essentially, they're not free flowing. They don't score loads of goals.
By the way, sorry to interrupt. What is happening with me at the moment? I'm glitching out of the distance.
It's terrible. It's just been, you've been like that. Well, not as bad as this, but you've been...
Not as bad as this.
No, but also you've been gone.
I know.
Gone, mate. It's one of them. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're amazing. Like we can't act like there's some Real Madrid, but they are. We can beat them. But I just worry about us midfield looking a bit tired. Maybe hopefully after the national break, we've got a little bit of a rest for some guys, but not Bruno. He ain't had no rest. Casemiro's not playing. Some guys haven't had a rest. Luke Shaw ended up having a rest, to be fair. Varane don't play. Martinez, don't know how long he played. But you get what I mean. Rashford's had a rest, to be fair. But, hopefully that little reset will help us. But
we can't be arrogant, though, Flex.
No.
Because, again, we've only beaten... like Fulham away from home, that's like top.
This is why I don't think we'll win. That's why I was trying to explain to Cam of why, I was scared, and he was like, "Nah, really, we'll beat them." I'm like, "Is it revenge for the Carabao Cup? They're starting to push for top 4 again." I don't like that game at all. I don't like it at all. But listen, we've got to go. We've got to go and face the music, mate. This is the business end of the season where I said all our hard work could be undone in these next 10 games in the league. Or we just push through and make it happen. But this is a real fight for top 4. I honestly think, because I don't think we're in our best moment and we're trying to manage multiple things, I think it's going to be an absolute dogfight. Even though Spurs are shit and got Stellini in charge, I wouldn't put it past them just nicking crap results and just being a pest and being around there. I wouldn't put it past Newcastle just not slipping off, just being there. Wouldn't put it past, is it Brighton? Sorry, Liverpool, just getting a little bit of a run. I really do think now this is a top 4 fight.
Well,
I
one
really do.
thing's for certain, though, isn't it? You get to this stage of the season, weird results start happening. You know, the teams at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bottom of
yeah,
the league, they start
yeah.
picking up games. I mean, the how close it is between, isn't it something like 12th and 19th? It's like 2
Crazy,
points.
crazy.
You know, so anything can and will happen in the remaining few months, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's 3 points, 27, 12. So yeah, so it is 2 points, from 12th down to the bottom to 19th. It's just insane. How mad is that? And those teams will nick points off other people, and the teams that are around us. You know, Tottenham got some hard games, Liverpool got some difficult games. We have to play Brighton away. Do you know what I mean? It's mad, but you know,
Yeah.
we shall see. Smash the like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Flexing KG show coming up for you guys this evening, 6 p.m. And keep it tuned, and we'll be across anything takeover wise as well as per usual. Have I missed any super chats? No, I haven't. And also, we'll be doing some FIFA as well. A lot of you guys have been asking for it. FIFA. Me and KG. It's a recipe for. Is it a recipe for disaster, or is it a recipe for fun, good content? You know, stuff that you can really get your teeth into. So, yeah, that will be coming your way very, very soon as well. We'll be doing that today. So, yeah, take care, guys. We're out of here. Peace.